Good morning, grade 4s. Today we are going to talk about how to diagram adverbs in our special sentence diagrams. It's a thing we got to do to better understand sentences. So we're going to get right into it. I'm just going to give you one really helpful hint. Your adverb is always going to be a little sprout off of the word that it is describing. So I'm going to give you the three different cases, whether it describes a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. So let's take a look at that. So first of all, if your adverb is describing a verb like this sentence here, the sky suddenly darkened. Darkened here is my adverb and it is describing my suddenly. That means it's going to come off of the verb, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. First of all, we start with our regular diagram. We look for the subject, we look for the verb, and we make that the start. So we have sky over here. That's my first thing. On this line I have, other way around. Darkened is the verb. Suddenly is the adverb. I'm getting a little bit confused here. So what's the sky doing? It's darkening. So I put darkened here. I have my noun, I have my verb. Now, suddenly is my adverb. It describes my verb. So I create a little line coming off from my verb, and that's where I put my suddenly. Now we also have the word the here. The is describing the sky. So off of sky, we're going to put the, just like that. Okay? Let's try the next one. In this one, our adverb is going to describe an adjective. So in this one, here's our sentence. The very old clock ticked. So first of all, we're looking for our subject and our verb. Clock is our subject. Ticked is our verb. So that's how we're going to start this diagram out. We have clock, our subject here. We have ticked, our verb over here. Separate them out. And now we're going to look at our words and we're going to see what they describe. So first of all, the describes the clock. So I create a little line and I put the on the line. Very doesn't describe the clock, it describes old. Now what's old describing? Old is describing the clock. So because old describes the clock, we're going to put old as a line coming out from the clock. And because very describes old, we're going to create a little sprout. So we draw a little line down and a little line over. And we put very on this line because very describes old and old describes clock. So it's starting to look a little bit like a tree or a vine or even some roots coming off. The idea is the word comes off of the word that it describes. Finally, it's the same principle when an adverb describes another adverb. So let's take a look at this one. So, my teacher speaks very slowly. What's the subject? Teacher. What's the teacher doing? Speaking. So speaks is my verb. There we go. I've separated my subject and my verb out. Now we're going to add in the describing words. My describes the teacher. So I draw a line off of teacher and I put my on it. Slowly describes how he speaks. So off of speaks, we're going to put slowly. Very describes the word slowly. It doesn't describe the verb, it describes the adverb here. And so in order to put very in, we're going to create a little sprout off of slowly, and that is where we add in very. It's its very own little sprout there. So that's what these things are going to start to look like. Let's just try one of your questions together as like a little last minute one. So think A, number 1 says this sentence, too much time was needlessly wasted. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the subject and the verb. The subject is time. It's a bit of a weird one. The verb here is actually two parts. Was is a helping verb and wasted is a verb. So we put was wasted on the verb line. And now we need to add in our describing words. So much is describing how much time we have. So much comes off of time as a describing word or as an adjective. Good. To is describing how much. It's describing the adjective here. So off of much, we're going to create a little sprout like that, and we're going to put the word to. And then needlessly is describing the verbs. Was needlessly wasted. So off of was wasted, we draw a little line, and we put in needlessly. Just like that. So these can get a little confusing. Give it your best shot today. If you are watching this video, you only need to diagram 10 of the 14 sentences. I don't want you to do them all. I just want you to choose 10. And some of these examples might be similar to the ones that you need to diagram in your book. So give it your best shot. I know these are a little bit tricky, but I have utter faith that you can do it. Goodbye.